Hello, my name is Michael Ramos, and I have been in the real estate world for, well, my entire life. My family and I have done it all and seen more from real estate sales, construction, and property inspections. And in all this time, what fascinates me the most about this industry are the people and how they changed their dreams into realty success.
This program is brought to you by City Home Inspectors, your one-stop shop for all your home inspection needs.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning into this week's episode of From Dreams to Realty Success, where we share inspiring stories of the top achievers in the real estate industry. Today, we're kind of switching gears a little bit. Normally, we interview realtors, but we are actually have Guillermo Chavez here. Guillermo Chavez is a licensed insurance agent with State Farm and has been licensed for 7 years. He quickly became 40 under 40 and is also highly involved with groups like NAHREP, being the immediate past president, and Northwest Hispanic Chamber of Commerce being the past board of directors. So this guy is certainly busy, so it does mean a lot for him to take the time to sit down and talk to us today. So thank you, Guillermo, for taking the time.
Thank you, guys.
And coming on in to talk to us. So I do have another segment here. I have a letter from Baxty. For those of you that don't know, Baxty is my mother, and she's also the owner of City Home Inspectors. She's also licensed for over 21 years in the Chicagoland area. So she studies the market heavily and everybody in it. And this is what she had to say about Guillermo. So Guillermo, I had a privilege to work with him in various seminars and local real estate offices. I also am a client of his in my own business insurance needs. He is sharp, very resourceful, and knowledgeable. Someone everyone needs to know. And that's what Baxty had to say about you.
Thank you, Baxty.
Yeah, again, thank you for your time. I know it's crazy out there with the market today. It's just it's so busy. It does mean a lot when anybody comes in to talk to me. I mean, 30-minute conversation it costs money for you as well. So
well, thank you. It's an honor, guys. You guys are amazing.
Thank you so much. So 40 under 40. I know we talked a little bit about it before the podcast, but I'm not too unaware of it. Can you tell me a little bit about what 40 under 40 is?
So it's a designation by Negocios Now. You have to get nominated. So I was lucky to get nominated for the recognition. And it's really 40 Latino business owners or 40 Latinos who are making a difference locally under 40. So I'm glad I made it. I'm 39, so I barely made it. But it was definitely an honor, and thank you for people who nominated me for the recognition. And it is a national awarded newspaper. It's called Negocios Now.
Nice. Okay, so when were you just won that award this year, 2022, or what year did you?
It was 2020, the first year of COVID. So we celebrated via Zoom.
Okay, yeah, all right, that's interesting. So it's crazy how COVID changed everything. I mean, like before, we would have had this conversation in an office, with cameras and everything. And actually, I kind of put it this way because when I started this, it was during COVID. So I was like, what's a good way to have it done, and it's not going to be harmful for anybody, and we can just make sure that we're safe while we record. And it just turned into, hey, it's easier. It turned out to be way easier for everybody. You can be at any office, you could be anywhere and you could still jump on the podcast. So it opened our eyes to some easier ways to do things, for sure.
Oh, no, it's great. I'm a subscriber. I watch the videos myself, so very motivational.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, I need all the views I can get. Believe me. Thank you for subscribing. I appreciate it. So I want to jump into 7 years ago. What were you doing before you came into insurance?
So my background, Mike, is I used to do loans. I was a mortgage banker for many years. Right out of high school, I was like a lot of our stories are similar. I was working 3 jobs to be able to pay for my college. I was attending a community college at the time, working 3 jobs. And then my sister got into real estate. She's a very successful realtor, top 250 with NAHREP. And I told her one day, I'm like, hey, what if I help you? What if I become your assistant? Because she was doing so well that I'm like, I would like to be a realtor one day, but I was 18 at the time. So I'm like, what if I can just become your assistant as long as you pay me what I make? At that point, I was working at Walgreens, Wendy's, and Old Navy. So I'm like, as long as you pay me what I am making, my full time job, Walgreens, as long as you pay me that, what I make there, I'll become your assistant, and that's enough money for me to still pay for my college. And long story short, I started working with her, and 2 months into it, I quit because I was the translator to her loan officer. This is 2001. There were not many Latinos, and her preferred lender was a loan officer. She looked really young, and one day I was like, "How old are you?" And she said, "I'm 19 at the time." So to me, it was like a kind of like an aha moment for me. And I called my sister 2 months into it. I was doing a great job being her assistant, but I'm like, I'm quitting. And she's like, "What do you mean you're gonna quit?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm quitting because I'm gonna become your loan officer. I'm gonna do the loans, and we're gonna work this business together." And long story short, that gave me a lot of success from 2001 up until 2015 when I got into insurance. We went through the crash, and then since the crash, it was kind of like really like a hustle and like a lot of different stories. I filed bankruptcy, lost all of my properties to foreclosure. So it took me a while to get back up, but I never left the business. So I continued to doing loans until the State Farm presented the opportunity presented itself, and I decided, you know what, let me give it a try. I always felt like it was a big connection to the industry. So in a sense, I felt that I was not really leaving because it's hard to change something that you've been doing for a long time, right? So I did loans from 2001 till 2015, so 14 years. So definitely, it was a struggle, but I was like, you know what, maybe God is sending me this opportunity. Let me jump on, let me give it a try. Long story short, I'm an agent for 7 years now with two locations.
Awesome, awesome. So, two locations. You want to let us know where your locations are at?
So I have one in Niles, right on the border of Park Ridge and the north side of Chicago. I'm by Tui and Milwaukee, and I have another one in Elk Grove Village, really close to O'Hare. So they're pretty close by to each other. They're about 20 minutes away from each other.
Yeah, it must be easy for you to go back and forth
Yes,
between
for
because
sure.
you have to visit both when you're the boss.
Yes.
So that's very interesting with the family dynamic. Of course, you know me, I work with my whole family and everything.
Yes.
So it is really cool that you made that transition, and it's good to know that like if you want to be in the real estate game, you don't only have to be a realtor. There are other ways, other avenues of still being in this
Yes. So
billion
many.
dollar
So
industry.
many inspectors
You
like
know,
you guys.
home
Attorneys.
inspecting, loan officer. Yeah, there's other avenues. There's still ways for you to dip your fingers in the pot. And if you're not like a really good salesperson, if you're not someone that wants to be a realtor, there are options, and even younger. Because is it still you have to be 21 to be a realtor? Correct?
Well, right now it has changed. I believe now it's 18. So back in the day, it used to be 21. So back in my day, I had to wait until I was 21. But I believe now it has changed to 18 years old. So people with 18 years old can be realtors now.
Oh, yeah, I did hear something about that, but I
Mm.
kind of forgot. And I know that was like a thing too, because I remember, because like I said, I've been in this industry forever. So on Facebook, people like, oh, 18 years old to be licensed, is like that's gonna flood the market, and I mean, it kind of has. I mean, you see, there's new agents every single day, and it's really amazing how it's
So
taking
so
off.
so many, my but that reminds me, right? I was that kid back in the day. I was 18 when I started dreaming, and I contact my sister. Hey, I want to get into the business. I know I'm only 18, but what can I do? And in my time, 18 was okay to be a loan officer. So that's how I transitioned into doing mortgage loans for more than 10 years.
Yeah, 14 years. That's a lot of good knowledge for sure. So so exactly what was the reason for the transition from mortgage to insurance?
So the reality is that I went through the crash. That was a very, very difficult time for me. It was one of those seasons where a lot of bad things happen to you. I'm sure you have experienced those times as well. So it was 2009. That's until it hit me. Some people talk about 2007. To me, it was more 2009, 2010. And at the time, my wife, now she was my girlfriend then, and it was one of those that the industry started shifting, business was going down. I had a few properties that had to go into foreclosure. My girlfriend gets pregnant. It's like all this, and as you know, in the Latino community, we weren't married at the time, so it was a big deal. So long story short, from the crash, I just kept going and going, right? But the mortgage lending industry, it was just like a regular job that it wasn't as profitable as before. So, I'm always, so I'm not someone that is money driven, but I definitely know money is important, right? Like to travel, I love traveling, so I always wanted to improve and find that opportunity. So from 2009 until the opportunity presented in 2015, I was doing still loan originating, but I was also doing anything that I could do on the side. I went to try like doing Primerica, which is like life insurance. I tried doing some of multi-level marketing companies. I definitely do not regret it because all those experiences did help me to be the agent that I am today and the business owner that I am today. So, long story short, from 2009 to 2015, I feel God put me in the right places and make me go through all those different jobs to get me to the opportunity of becoming a State Farm agent because I remember I was doing sales over the phone, and they require me to get licensed for life and health. So I got it, and it was selling some products over the phone, some memberships. And I only lasted there like 3 months because I felt like the products were not what they promised the customers. So I'm always feeling like, oh, I don't want to feel like I'm taking advantage of people. But then I transitioned in going to work for a bank that required me to get my investment license, and then I did another. Multi-level marketing like World Financial is called. So I went for my property and casualty license, and when State Farm presents itself and I ask, what do you need to become a State Farm agent? I'm like, well, you need your life and health license, your PNC, and your investment license. I was like, oh, I'm like, I have all of those. And it was thanks to all those different jobs that I went through from the crash to until 2015, trying to find that big break or that opportunity to be able to provide a better quality lifestyle to my family. And it was just kind of like God sent. I was like, oh, I'm meant to be a State Farm agent because who knew? I didn't know at the time, going through all these different jobs or side hustles that I was getting. I was preparing myself to becoming a State Farm agent. So that's how everything happened. But it was a recruiter. Long answer, not short answer. A recruiter called me. I asked what was required, and I was like, I have everything. When do I start? It's not as easy as that. There's a lot of tests and a lot of interviews, but but I already had the licensing part done.
Right. So, just to reiterate, what were the qualifications to become an insurance agent?
Well, every company is different. For my job, you were required to pass some personality tests. I believe that even the recruiter, they cannot move you along if they don't feel you're qualified for. So there's a lot of different steps within the enterprise, but you are required to have your license to sell products, right? So you need a license to sell home insurance, auto insurance. That's another license, life and health. Each line requires its own state license. And State Farm, it's also in the investment side, so you need to get your investment license as well.
Got it. Okay, interesting. So, can you tell us what is why is insurance so important when it comes to real estate?
Well, to me, is when it comes to buying your house, right? It's your biggest asset. For some of us, it's gonna be our biggest asset that we acquire in our life, right? So, I definitely always suggest to you've been in the process, right? There's a lot going on. There is inspection, there is the attorney review, and then they're showing. I mean, it's a big process, and sometimes customers do not give the time to really sit down and talk about the insurance, right? They're like, oh, how much is it? Okay, let's move on. So I make it a point in my offices that no, we're not a transactional office. We want to actually explain to you what is it that you're getting. So then, because there's some optional coverages, right? So then you can decline those optional coverages or you can add them, because tomorrow when something happens, we don't want to be that agency where oh, you didn't talk to me about it, or you didn't explain that to me, because it's so easy in any line, right? Like you or inspector, just to be transactional, right? You could also be an inspector that just walks in and walks out, doesn't even explain anything, or you could be that that person, that licensed inspector that um, will explain everything that you're finding as you're going, or when you do the report, you call them and explain everything, right? So to me it's really important, because there's some coverages that are optional, that if you don't add them, then you're out of luck. One of them will be like the backup and sewer. That is an optional coverage, that if you don't add it to your coverage, if tomorrow there is a flood in your basement due to a backup in the sewer, you're out of luck. There's no coverage. So that's why it's so important. Plus, like I said, it's our biggest asset. So you want to make sure that it's protected, right? And it's required by the bank regardless. The bank wants to protect their investment they're doing with you, so they're gonna require you to get it. So I think now your job as a customer is to make sure you're getting the right protection.
Yeah, very good. And it would make sense that you're making sure, like, based on the property, like, is your property in a flood zone? Is your property, in an area where there might be, a higher chance of pests or rodent, you know what I mean, or anything like that, or what have you. These are things that every case should be different. I mean, just like every house is different, so every case should be a little bit different and modified accordingly.
Correct.
I mean, you have like maybe like a new construction, you might not want to worry about the sewer line because you have PVC piping. But if you have an old property where you have clay tile piping, you might want to have that backup sewage inspection. Well, of course you want to inspect it first, but you want to also make sure that you have that coverage in there as well, because these are some things that, yeah. So that makes a lot of sense for sure.
Correct, and everybody has different needs, right? Like you're mentioning right now, or priorities. So I mean, I have clients that are like, "Oh no, I declined that coverage because I'm actually in construction. If something happens, I'm gonna fix it myself." Okay, great. So everybody's different needs and different situations. So definitely, you got to make that time to make sure you get what you want and the coverages that you want for your biggest asset.
Awesome. Okay. So I kind of want to get to like, what were some of like your difficulties? What were some of the things you had problems with when you first started doing insurance?
To me, it's really the knowledge, right? My whole knowledge was on mortgage lending, and I'm one of those that you call like an outsider to the industry, right? Like we are all are at some point, but some insurance agents, they work for an agent before becoming agents. So I was not in the industry before State Farm. So to me, it was, as I was going, learning all these different coverages, all these different terminology. It still is, right? Because this is an industry, same like yours, that you never, never, never stop learning, right? So, like right now, you're dealing with the what is it, the rate on gas right now, something else is going to come out in a
Right.
couple of years. So it's something that you continue. That's what I love about my industry. I'm sure you do as well for your side, that you always keep learning. There's always something new, new technology. So to me, that is the difficult part, but I enjoy it in a sense.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I fell in love with real estate is that every day is different. You know, every client is different, every property is different. You know, like I said, I grew up in this industry, so my entire life has just been real estate. Even though I never got licensed. I don't know why I should have did that. But there's it's just like no like seeing that and like that's what keeps like I try to have other jobs. Like I worked. Like you talked about like fast food. I worked at Taco Bell. You know what I mean? I worked at GameStop. I tried those 9 to 5s, but it was a lot of like the repetition and the same thing every single day just drove me nuts. Like I couldn't do it, like the definition of insanity. You know
Yes.
what I mean? So slowly I kind of like got to where I was like, man, like I needed the freedom, and this industry definitely gives freedom at a cost though. I mean, you get freedom at a sense because you do have to work every single
I
day.
think we were
So there's
more.
no days
We
off.
we
Yeah.
mo- we were
Yeah.
more than
Yeah.
a 9 to 5. But there's
Yeah.
something, it's a little weird, right? Because we were more hours than a 9 to 5, but we also have the freedom of time, right? So if your daughter is sick, you can take the morning off, or if they need a doctor's appointment, you don't need to ask anybody for permission to take your daughter to the doctor, or something like that. But what happens is you do that, and then you're working really late at night, right? Finishing your job.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So it's a give and take, but
Yeah.
like I said, it's more for me. It's the randomness. It's the every day is different. Every day is a new challenge. It makes it a little bit better.
Yeah, that's good. I like that too. It's not the same thing every day.
So I kind of want to get into NAHREP now and these organizations you're a part of. Can you tell us a little bit about NAHREP? I actually had someone in the past from NAHREP come in, Luisa Martinez. She was in a past episode, and she's the treasury of the Lake County, I believe.
I did
And
saw
so she
that.
came, yeah.
I
Yeah. So
think she's the secretary, right?
I thought she said treasury.
Maybe I don't know, but I did see
One of
I did
those.
see the episode. And well,
Hopefully she doesn't see this.
um, to me, Nairobi it comes very close to my heart. I really believe on the mission and vision of the organization. I'm an immigrant myself. I came at 16 years old, not knowing the language. Really, to be honest, I hated the first 2 years. Right, I just wanted to go back home. Like a lot of us that immigrated, we were brought in by our parents, right, with no option. It's like we're going to the U.S. So to me, it was really hard, but now as I start growing and finishing high school, going to college, getting into real estate, and having this possibility, right, that we talk to customers every single day. Like I said, you could be just transactional and just look at the customer like another number, or you can be intentional and realize that you can make a big impact on your customer's life by really letting them know about the possibilities or the options to, hey, you can buy this condo, but do you know that a couple of years down the road you can actually rent it out and then buy a single family house and still keep the condo as a kind of like a retirement avenue. So when you're retire and you have now that property paid off, you can be having some cash flow. So that's kind of like why I love NARAP and why I got highly involved, to the point that I was the president last year, and I continue to serve my chapter, because one of their missions, ambitions, are to help our community to build wealth, generational wealth, through real estate investing. Um, so I take it uh, personal, right? Because I was that immigrant that I didn't even know I could buy a property. and then slowly but surely, right? You start with one property, and then you continue to grow your book of investments. But I like to let people know that, hey, this is not it, or our new generation, the millennials and the Gen Zs, uh, that you can dream big and make it happen. So going back to NAHREP, um, it's two buckets. There's a few buckets that they cover, but one of them is building wealth through real estate investing. The other one is be politically savvy, right? So I'm a U.S. citizen, so I'm blessed to be a U.S. citizen. I was not before. So now that we can vote, right? They're saying, okay, we need to make our voice be heard. But not only that, we need to educate ourselves on the topic of politics, right? So that's something that it's also, I'm going to be honest, I'm not that, um, I don't know a lot about politics, but that's what I'm making it intentional now to learn about it, right? To know about the elections. I know they're coming up soon in November. So reading about the people running, right, for Congress, for your local cities. So all of that is important, and if you're able to vote, you got to make a difference. And now it has four different buckets. Let me see if I remember them now because I'm on the spot. But one is access to credit. Uh, the other one is housing inventory, immigration. Those are the three main buckets. There's another one that I cannot recall right now, but those are the three main buckets where we're always highly involved. They have two national conferences. One is around March, which is for policies, and that's more the political side. And the other one is in September, which is in San Diego, and that's more generic and more about the chapter itself. Um, but the other one, the one in DC, it's more about the policies that will impact our communities when it comes to credit to access to credit and housing and immigration.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, um, voting for sure is something that, because I know a lot of people really pay attention to the big guy, the president, presidential vote. You know what I mean? And yes, that's very important as well. But you really should look into your community. You know, like your neighborhood. I mean, that's the president can only do so much. That your house where you live is gonna do a lot more to you than than the big guy. So you want to make sure that you're looking into who's running your town, because they take care of your schools, they take care of everything that has to deal with everything that you're living in. So yeah, I always encourage. I mean, I was born, I mean, I'm Puerto Rican, so by default I'm already a citizen. But yeah, I was born here in Chicago, grew up here in Chicago, and I really never paid attention to politics until the last two elections. Then I really got into it. um but like not too much so either. I look into it enough, like who do I like, and and that's where I go. But that's yeah, it's very important. Everybody should really pay attention to who they're voting for.
And I'm with you. I'm
um
the same way. I
mhm.
just pay attention to the last two, but to be honest, I'm not that savvy on the topic. And it was thanks to NARAP. That's why it's important to get involved with your some local organizations, nonprofit, because it is that I'm making it intentional now. You know what? I need to learn these things. I need to know about it because how are you gonna tell other people or talk about those topics without knowing?
Correct. Yeah. And then can you tell us, like, what are some of the major benefits you get from working with NAREP or joining NAREP?
So to me, it's really the connections. That's really it because we are donating our time. So it is hard work, but when you truly believe in the mission and vision statements of the organization, it's well worth it. But to me, the biggest asset it is the connections you make along the way. So my chapter, since the founding years, I have people that are really good friends of mine now, and I would have not known them without NAREP.
Yeah, I've been to a couple of the NAHREP meetings, and you guys always have a blast. Every time I go, I have a great time, and I always make a lot of new connections. So it is definitely worth to, even if you could just buy that ticket, just poke your head in and see if it's for you. NARP is definitely a great organization, and it's always a blast. You guys always have a good time.
And I know I knew your mom already. I know Baxi for a long time. Like she mentioned, we did a bunch of homebuyer seminars. But I met you at one of our events. You were sponsoring. That's the day we met,
Yes.
and here we are now.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing though too, is it's because of that, and I know um for me to even get the people that come onto this show, I know it's because of city home inspectors and me going out there and being at these seminars and doing these speeches and stuff like that. It's how you guys got to know who I am, and that's how you guys are trusting that you can be on this podcast and everything like that. So it does help. It does further you, because honestly, I never thought I would make a podcast about real estate. You know what I mean? It was I know a buddy of mine called me. He's like, "Hey, yeah, we got to make a podcast, and we're gonna talk about Marvel and comic books and everything like that." And I was like, "Yeah, man, that's a great
I'll
idea."
subscribe.
And then
I'll
I thought
subscribe.
about it. Yeah, and I thought it because I got Venom right here. Yeah, I'm a big comic book guy. I got boxes of comic books. So and at first I was like, "Yeah, that's a great idea." Like we should definitely do that. And then like I started thinking about it, and I was like, what would be more beneficial to the public? Who's gonna listen to two guys talk about Venom and Wolverine? You know what I
You'll be
mean?
surprised.
It's not. Yeah, I know, but like I like to work. I mean, to work on that, it would have been a lot of work. And the thing is, like I already have this wealth of people, that are so knowledgeable and so inspirational. So my thought was like, let me tell these amazing stories, because like I always say that the most inspirational person in my life is a realtor. It's my mom. You know what I mean? So that's this whole time, it's like they, and the one thing that I noticed is what a lot of people see with with realtors or insurance people. They see the bling, they see the nice car, they see the trips, they see the fun, but they don't really see the pain, the struggle, the effort that it took to get there. So that's the whole reason for this podcast, is to kind of show that the humanity of you all, and how the struggles and everything that it took you all to get where you are today.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's why I subscribe and I watch your, not only because I know you guys, but the inspiration, right? We all have our story, how we got where we are now, and it's not easy, but just keep going, keep going, keep moving forward. That's all it is.
For sure, for sure. Okay. Well, I have one last question, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this up. My last question is: besides insurance and real estate business, is there anything else you're super passionate about?
Traveling is my passion. One of my dreams eventually is to own a property in Florida. Your mom is convincing me for Sarasota, but there's a few other options I'm looking at. But to me, traveling, I think experiencing and seeing other cultures, it fits the soul. And obviously, exposing my daughters to that, it's priceless. And you can only do that with money. So you got to work hard.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's true. So, any like favorite destinations that you like to go to? Like, what's the favorite vacation spot?
So I'm an ocean guy. So anything with a beach in front of it, I'm on it. But my bucket list, I can tell you, Dubai definitely. I never been there. The Maldives, and believe it or not, I travel a lot, but I never done the Europe experience. Like going to Venice, to Italy, like Florence. I haven't done it. So I'm looking forward to doing it between this and the next year. That's like my next big trip because I think everybody should do it before they die.
For sure. I actually just started traveling. Um, like we spoke earlier, I was a teen father, so traveling was kind of out of the picture by the time I became of age to do anything. So now that the kids are getting older and everything like that, me and my fiance, we ended up going to Vegas for the first time.
Nice.
yeah, earlier this year. We had a blast. It was a great time. It was like the first, because the thing is, like I said, yeah, I've been out of town. Like I've been to Puerto Rico, I've been to Florida. I drove to Florida, so everywhere in between. You know what I mean? A couple times. But it was always with family or the parents. You know what I mean? So it's like it wasn't really a vacation. Like it wasn't an adult vacation. So I had my first adult vacation earlier this year, and I was like, yeah, man, I was like, that needs to happen at least twice a year. Like I need to start doing that. So
Yes.
the plan is we're gonna take the kids to Tennessee this summer.
Oh, do it, do it. I think to me,
Hmm.
traveling is my happy place. And believe it or not, you're gonna be more energized, and your business can actually increase because you recharge and you come with your mind clear, ready to go. So I always advise people every 3 months, at least 4 trips a year, even if it's just Wisconsin Dells, just to take your mind off of your regular day-to-day activities.
For sure. Awesome. Well, I think that's all we have today. Um, Thank you so much, Guillermo, for coming in. This was a great podcast. We learned a lot today about insurance and NAHREP and everything like that. So I really do appreciate your time. If you want to take this time to let everybody know what's the best way to contact you if they want to learn more about insurance.
So my name again is I'll do it again. 3, 2, 1. They can reach me at my cell phone 847-414-1195. And you can find me on social media as Guillermo Chavez State Farm.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much again, Guillermo. Thank you for everybody that took the time to watch this episode. This is Dreams to Realty Success. Have a good one. Thank you.
Bye bye.